for us, our focus is on the Vikings. Our focus is on moving forward. We don't make excuses. We understand we got to win, and the bottom line is, in order to win in this league, it's up to the coaches and it's up to the players.
The biggest thing for me is I want to get the bad taste out of my mouth of losing 2 in a row. I play for everyone in this circle right here, and I know y'all do the same, all right?
You know, it's an opportunity we got as a team to go out there together, work hard, prepare, kind of get these bad tastes out of our mouth.
I'm staring at a really good Minnesota team. I'm staring at a team that has a lot of talented football players, and I think that team is on fire right now, and they're getting ready to come down here and play a great game.
It's going to be a tough game. We're going to have to battle. We're going to have to finish drives. We got to just grit it out.
We know that we all we got, you know, so we're going to put it on our shoulders.
We got to get ready to play a game at home, and we got to get ready to play a game at a high level. I love standing up in front of that group every single day, knowing the mental toughness and the drive, the competitiveness that team has to go try to win every week. Here, you know, nothing more important to us than Fridays and Friday practice. To be able to put some rhythm out there today would be great. You know, coming off a short week and really having practice time on the field yesterday, definitely, you know, feel like we need to have a good, you know, good tempoed practice today. We need to have that timing, that rhythm that you need during the course of the week. You know, we try to build confidence through the course of the week in what we're doing so that we can go execute at a high level on Sunday. So, you know, good meetings this morning. We're pushing ahead, grinding away, and just, you know, trying to do everything we can to go play well here on Sunday. Glad to be home. Glad to be in front of our fans. You know how it is when you have, you know, a couple long weeks and you finally get to go home and be in front of everybody that supports you and loves you. So we're excited to do that, and we're going to obviously go out and try to do everything we can to win the game and play hard. But we know we got a big challenge in front of us. Minnesota, you know, they're a great team. They're playing really well, very confident, you know, in all 3 phases of the game. They do an excellent job on special teams. I think that's definitely something that, you know, can't be lost in this game. They do some things really well with their rush units, and they do some outstanding things with their coverage units. They got some great players out there. So, you know, we're going to need all 3 phases working together to help us this weekend. So, it's really it. Just a work day for us, kind of back at it and grinding away.
Matt, I know that there's been a huge focus with you this week, just turning the page and being able to, you know, get over the, you know, the way you lost that game on Monday night. How do you feel like the players have done, you know, responding to that, putting that in the past, you know, moving forward?
Yeah, I think everyone's done a really good job, you know, to be honest with you. I think we all understand every single game's a 1-week season, and you move on real quick and you go forward. You don't forget about them. You got to learn, you know, you got to learn your mistakes and know the things you did well and know the things you did not do so well and try to improve on those. But, you know, if you waste any time thinking about what happened last week, you're just not putting any effort or time into energy and what's going to happen this weekend. So I think the guys, you know, they get that, they understand that, and we just got to try to stay consistent. That's our biggest thing is every day come in, be consistent, be the same person, and grind at it the same way so that we can, you know, give ourselves a chance to go compete.
I wanted to ask you about Kerryon Johnson. I know things change week to week, but for 3 consecutive games, you've really leaned heavily on him, both in snap count and carry load. Just wondering, you know, what did you see from him through the progress of the offseason and what he's shown you so far this season that you know he's able to handle that heavy of a workload?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us right now, we're in the mode every single week trying to do what we can to, play that game at the highest level. We've had some plays in there where we've mixed in the other guys and try to get them some reps. And sometimes in a game, you might get a feel for a particular player that, you think is just having a good game or is kind of in rhythm, is kind of in sync. And, you might kind of stay with some of those guys in those situations. But, I think we worked through training camp, we worked through the beginning part of the season, and I think everybody understands what we're trying to get done in the run game, and Carry-On certainly knows that we trust him, in those running situations to do everything he can, but all those other guys are ready to go. I would say it's nothing from a standpoint of calculated to say he's got to be in there every single play. It's really just kind of maybe a feel for the game. I would say our preference, or my preference, is to try to divide up as many of those carries as we can when we feel like we can do that, from that situation.
At the very least, though, is there a testament to the work he put in this offseason in trying to be, I guess, able to handle a bigger workload that he can physically handle it?
I think, obviously for a second-year player, when you finally get that full offseason in the NFL as opposed to trying to get ready for the draft and do all that, there's probably a higher confidence level, maybe from the coaching perspective to look at that player and say, all right, well, he's worked, for this amount of time in our system. We've, trained for an NFL season with him, as opposed to when you're getting guys out of college and they're doing different types of training, I would say, before the draft, and then you don't really get them until, the rookie mini camps and then OTAs. They've kind of missed those first two phases of the offseason. So I think you trust those guys that are in the offseason program that, when you do all that accumulative work, that they're ready for the season.
Particularly on a shorter week like this, how important is it for the players to know, coming off of a game like last week, that all of your goals are still right in front of you, especially with Minnesota coming in?
Yeah, I think, we understand that we try to really just look at short-term goals. I think we got to try to take care of our business every single week and not worry about the big picture. If we handle the details and the small things, then the big things handle themselves. So our main focus is to try to go out and win, and beat Minnesota, and we'll go from there, and we'll take 1 week at a time and just keep playing football. It's a long season. There's a lot of things that happen, and no matter what, we just want to go compete and play well. I think that's our biggest focus.
You've talked a little bit about this before, but just in the red zone, obviously there's a lot less room to maneuver.
Yeah.
I was just curious, for an offense like yours that likes to get downfield,
Yep.
that likes to run those vertical routes, do you lose part of your playbook, or what's the challenge
Yeah,
there?
it's good. Good observations as far as the red area and how that does a change in offense and how that can affect an offense, and definitely how it affects defense too. I think defense is from the same thing. There's not as much depth to defense anymore. Everything's a little bit tighter, line of scrimmage. Your run support is a lot faster. Whether it's secondary support from the safeties or the corners, everything happens much quicker. And you can also use the end line, for certain coverages and kind of bracket players different ways based on that too. So from an offensive perspective, when you do have vertical type plays, and Minnesota's the same way. They have fast receivers that get vertical quick. They like to do certain things when they still have the space, and then when the space condenses, sometimes philosophy change and different types of plays come into effect, and you got to be able to defend those. You certainly see that with a lot of offenses.
Last year after the snacks trade, the defensive line was arguably the strength of the team. So far, it's been almost the opposite. I know Deshaun's hurt. Is there any reason you think that the defensive line, lack of pressure, teams being able to run the ball, is it fair to say that it's been a disappointing unit?
I think, in the run game, defensively, everyone takes responsibility for that. All of us, and certainly me as a coach, it'll start with me. I got to coach it better, which we're trying to do, and we're trying to teach the techniques and get everybody on the same page. Run defense is all about fits. It's all about everybody doing their assignment, doing their job, doing it with good pad level, doing it with good technique. And, we haven't performed well enough in that area, certainly. And we all understand we need to get better there, and that's a collective group effort for all of us. We're working at it. We're grinding at it. Again, like I mentioned, unfortunately this week, without being able to put the pads on and take a real good look at it, especially, Minnesota's run game with the way that they stretch the ball and then they stretch and cut and in kind of the style that they run the ball. It's very difficult to simulate in practice in general, and then to not be able to do that with equipment on is even harder, So just got to continually try to get the right looks in practice and get the right technique and all that. And, everybody just try to do it a little bit better, from that aspect, sure.
Very good. So how much you pay attention when a guy like Mahomes gets hurt last night? Half your division still needs to play him. How much do you pay attention to that? Because obviously they're playing a potentially different Kansas City team than you guys. But do you pay him that much mind at all?
No, not really. I mean, I'm not. We're really just focused on us. You know, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. And I think for us right now in this part of the year, you know, just kind of go back to the question earlier, we're just focused on our games. You know, I think that's all that really matters. And again, for us, our philosophy is we want to try to do everything we can to just, you know, handle our own business. You never want to be in a situation where you have to root for anybody else. You know, I mean, that's not really where you want to be. So for us, it's just about, you know, trying to get ready to go and play Minnesota. And the NFL is a crazy season. There's crazy games every single week, and you never know what's going to happen. So for us, just staying focused on us is important.
Very general, but you mentioned confidence in the open, and I know all your players are, you know, supremely confident, I guess, to get to this level. But how important is confidence to a player reaching their abilities, and what do you do to, you know, instill that confidence, I guess, in players?
You know, I think what's always interesting to me with players in the NFL, and whether they're young players or even sometimes guys that have been in the league for a long time, maybe their roles change, maybe they're on special teams for a long time, and then all of a sudden they really emerge as an offensive or defensive player. There's quite a few guys that are playing in this game that have walked that path before too. Sometimes it's just a unique thing. Sometimes it's just learning to, you know, practice your craft the right way, you know, be a professional. Sometimes you're learning the NFL game. Sometimes there's just all of the knowledge part of it that you got to learn. And then sometimes there's that light bulb that goes on that just maybe they make one or two plays and they find that confidence behind them that carries them through, you know, and it's really an interesting phenomenon to watch sometimes. You know, I've definitely seen it. But I would say for our guys in general, for the team, you know, we always stress building confidence through practice, you know, and making sure that we go out every single day and, you know, get good communication, get good alignments, you know, do a good job with our execution of our assignments. And confidence, I think, is something that's not only just individualized, but it's got to be built as a team, you know, and everybody having confidence in each other to be able to go out and do their jobs. And that's really what we get out of practice.
Matt, I wanted to ask you about Everson Griffin, the defensive end.
Yeah.
He poses a challenge. He's had some success playing against the Lions. What challenges does he present for your offensive line?
Sure. I mean, I think Griffin and Hunter have had success for a lot of people. I think they're two really, really good players on the edge. They're long, they're powerful. Griffin's, he's long, he's a little bit stouter, a little bit thicker, does a good job with the power off of the edge. Really, some of those in the passing game, some of the softer sets that he gets, you know, he's able to kind of push those guys back into the middle of the pocket and create a lot of stress and tension for the quarterback. And then with Hunter being on the other side, you know, you're kind of stretched in two different directions to handle the situations. Hunter, I think, is playing at an extremely high level. He's long. He does a great job with his length. He does a good job of using his power and then taking it away and watching a lot of the guys on the offensive line kind of get him off balance and move him one way and then, you know, counter back. So I think as much as you're dealing with that, then you have to deal with all the pressure of the linebackers and the safeties and everybody else coming through the middle or off the edge. It's just, you know, it's really complex from that standpoint. So two really outstanding players on the edge, I would say, you know, just as good as anybody in the league.
Is there something stylistically about the way they rush on the edges that I guess funnels that all for the pressure in the middle?
Just go to the first part again.
With Griffin and Hunter, the way they rush stylistically, is there's something that keeps that funnel to the pressure in the middle?
Definitely at times. Some of it's pretty calculated, you know, as far as what the scheme of the defense might be, you know, where they're trying to push the quarterback in the pocket. You know, they're trying to manipulate where he can step up and where he can go from there. Some of it you can definitely see, though, in their rushes where they have freedom, you know, to work off of those guys and work off some of the other defensive players that are in front of them. So a lot of that all kind of plays into it. But they have multiple skill sets, you know, for those two guys on the edges. They have really good speed get off, they have really good speed to power, and then they have really good counters. You know, Griffin, one of the great things he does is a spin move off the counter, off his power. You know, it becomes really difficult because you're trying to anchor, set for that kind of bull rush, and then, you know, he takes it away and, you know, guys get off balance and things like that, and then he counters back inside.
How much is closing out games a double-edged thing, the defense making stops and the offense, you turn it over to them, you know, right, you know, bleeding the clock out and really maybe defensively get the quarterback where it is in the crosshairs and just not let them out?
Excuse me. I think, you know, the end of the game is always a tricky situation. You know, you got to take in a lot of things into account, special teams, offense, defense, how it all fits together. I would say it's something that our team's, you know, learning. We've been learning here for the last year and a half about how all that fits together and how important it is from that standpoint to play complementary football and not, you know, give certain teams or certain players too much time on a clock if you have to, or sometimes you got to go faster and, you know, try to do everything you can a little bit quicker. So all of that comes into effect certainly from that aspect of it. But independent of all that, everybody knows that when you step on the field, whatever that particular play is, you just got to go do your job. Just to, do your assignment, execute at a high level, and things will take care of itself. But you do try to emphasize the collaborative effort of all three phases working together. Certainly.
I'm sure that everybody would like to see a touchdown, but especially early when you have a kicker like Prater who's pretty consistent, has a lot of length. How important is it to utilize that and not pass up points early?
Yeah. I mean, I think, for us, I think points are critical, when we get down in there. And certainly, Prater, with his ability to, to do that for us, and especially in different environments, and be consistent with it is really critical, And sometimes it's a portion of the game where, maybe a drive's gone on, you've eaten up a lot of clock, and you've had a nice drive, and it's gone down, and you necessarily haven't scored a touchdown, but you've maybe shorten the game by 2 or 3 series in that phase, and you want to make sure you come away with points. That affects the overall, let's call it total points at the end of the game. So all those things kind of go into consideration from that standpoint, and having a kicker that, we feel very confident in helps, make those decisions easier. Yep. Okay. Yep. Yep, absolutely.